What's up, guys? The NFL draft is right around the corner, so you know what that means. It's mock draft season. Today I'm going to be breaking down all of my picks for the first round. Many of you guys may have seen this on Instagram, but I've been thinking of video ideas and I couldn't come up with too much besides a mock draft. I mean, it's mock draft season. What else are we supposed to do? Also, I want to clarify that this mock was made pre-combine. I made it about 2 to 3 weeks ago. It just took me a little bit to make the video. Also, if you're a college football fan, you need to subscribe. There's no off season around here, so we're gonna have content coming at you all year long. We got college football 25, college football 26 on the horizon. Mock drafts are gonna be coming at you. Be sure to tune in. All right, let's get into things. So, with the first overall pick, we have the Tennessee Titans selecting none other than the generational talent, the Heisman himself, Travis Hunter. I mean, there's not much more to be said with this pick. We all know he's the ultimate two-way prospect. He's an explosive playmaker on both sides of the field, an absolute unicorn. I think the Titans would definitely be wasting an opportunity if they passed up on somebody like Travis Hunter or maybe even Abdul Carter here. And I think they sort of hinted to this themselves when they said they won't waste an opportunity to draft a generational talent. I think that sort of referred to Hunter himself. I mean, it could refer to a couple other dudes definitely, but it feels like when you have the first overall pick, you have a huge opportunity, and I think it would be very hard for them to pass up on a player as enticing as Travis Hunter. All right, moving on to the second pick, we have his close pal and teammate, Shedeur Sanders, heading to the Cleveland Browns. I think Dion is definitely pulling some strings behind the curtains, and I think his guys are going to get taken care of nicely on draft night. I can definitely see Travis Hunter going first and Shedeur going second. I mean, the media is just going to eat that up. The NFL itself probably not going to be complaining. Jerseys are going to be flying off the shelves. I also think the Browns are really eyeing Shedeur, and I was a little hesitant to think, would Shedeur be willing to go to Cleveland? But I think I've seen some indication that he's open to the idea. He doesn't really have any Eli Manning type animosity towards the organization. So I think that could definitely be a possibility. I also, as I said, this is pre-combine, and I have seen that Cam Ward is essentially shooting up draft boards, apparently. I mean, I don't know. That's what they're saying, is Cam Ward is lighting things up. So I could definitely see this switching. Who knows, guys? Maybe that'll be in my post-combine mock draft. Stay tuned to find out. So, moving on to the third pick. I'm trying to get a monster. The red monster. Y'all like this one? Let me know in the comments. We fucking with the red monster or what? Alright, I don't even know what pick I was on. So, with the third pick, I have the New York Giants selecting Cam Ward out of Miami. And I think the Giants sort of have to take a QB here. I don't see them passing up on an opportunity to do so, and I don't think they should. I mean, I saw something where I think the only QB on their roster at the moment is Tommy DeVito, and I don't think that's going to get the job done. Not to say that Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders will necessarily turn things around. I think both of them are going to end up in pretty tough situations wherever they get drafted. But hey, they certainly have the talent to do so. So I think it's worth taking a shot, and I think the Giants sort of have to take it here. They're going to take a QB, whether it's Sanders. I mean, I could even see them taking Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart here. I'm not even kidding. I think they are that QB desperate where no matter who is there at the third pick, they're going to take him. So that's all I got to say about that one. Moving on to the fourth pick, I think sort of as a result of that, the Patriots are in a very lucky spot. They have two teams ahead of them that are both QB needy. So I think some of the top athletes in the draft will fall to them. Sort of regardless of how these top picks end up, they're going to get a great player. And right here, I think they're going to have to take Abdul Carter. And I think that's a great pick. It's going to add a key piece to their defense. Carter's truly a generational talent. As I said, with the Titans taking Hunter, I think he's probably the other dude that I could see going first because of that statement. I mean, yeah, he's an absolute game wrecker off the edge. I could easily see him going at any of the earlier spots. He's going to absolutely terrorize NFL QBs for year to come. So yeah, the Patriots snag a really special player here. All right, moving on to the fifth pick. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Mason Graham out of Michigan. Graham is an elite prospect. He's a true dominant force in the trenches. He has elite strength, a really high motor. I think a lot like Abdul Carter, he could have gone a lot earlier. He's definitely a generational talent, and I think the Jaguars are also very lucky to get him at this fifth spot. I could also see them taking someone like Will Johnson here, but I think the Eagles' recent Super Bowl victory sort of proved the importance of a dominant interior defense. And I mean, Graham is a top tier. Graham's a no-brainer for that one. All right, moving on to the sixth pick. I have the Raiders taking exactly who I just mentioned, Will Johnson. And I know this might be a bit of a boring pick to some people. It might be a bit of a disappointment. I've seen a lot of people taking Teteroa McMillan here or Ashton Genty here. I mean, there's a couple guys you can take here, but I think Will Johnson's easily one of the best cornerback prospects we've seen in years. He has the size, the speed, the instincts. He's got everything you need to be a top corner in the NFL. And the Raiders definitely need that, so I think they have to take Johnson here. All right, so with the seventh pick, I have the New York Jets selecting Tyler Warren, which, I mean, I could definitely see them going for a quarterback. I could see them trading out of this spot, doing just whatever they could to get a new QB, given the whole Aaron Rodgers situation. But I think with Ward and Sanders off the board here, they're most likely going to go for the best player available, which is going to be Tyler Warren in this situation. I think he's an absolute beast. I don't know if I want to say generational tight end prospect, but he's definitely up there. And I think the Brock Bowers effect is going to have a little bit of an impact on his draft stock. I think a decent amount of teams and, scouts have noticed the impact that a really game-changing tight end can have, and Warren fits that criteria. So this feels like a very Jets pick to make. I don't know what to say about that, but it just does feel like a very Jets pick to make. I mean, they don't know who's going to be under center, but hey, at least they have a generational tight end, Why not? All right, with that being said, we move on to the Panthers, who have an easy choice at number 8. They select arguably the top receiver in the draft in Teteroa McMillan. I think they're lucky to have him fall in their lap at number 8, and I think this is an awesome pick. I think it's going to give Bryce Young an elite playmaker in McMillan. He's got great size, great hands, elite route running. He can be a true game changer at the next level. And I think that's exactly what the Panthers need to push Bryce Young to the next level. So I think this could be a career-defining pick for the Panthers, Bryce Young, everybody involved. All right, moving on to the number 9 pick, I have the Saints taking James Pierce, edge from Tennessee. I think there's a lot of great edge defenders in this draft class, so I could see a couple other dudes also going here. I mean, guys like Michael Williams could easily go at this spot. I had some people in my comments on Instagram sort of pointing that out, and I agree with that sentiment. But I mean, I put Pierce here. I think that's who I would have taken, and I said this is a pre-combine draft, but the draft is happening right now. And I literally just saw a video of Pierce's 40. I think he ran a he ran a 4.4, something crazy, something ridiculous. So, I mean, his draft stock's definitely going to go up, and I think him going at the 9 spot, it might be a little bit of a reach, but it's a great pick in my mind, so why not? All right, moving on to the number 10 pick. I think the Bears get an absolute snag here, taking Will Campbell out of LSU. And I mean, this is a great pick. Campbell's an elite prospect, and he'll instantly upgrade the Bears O-line, which we all know they desperately need. Caleb Williams needs protection if he wants to succeed at this level, and Campbell has the size, the technique, and really that dog mentality to fill that role. Bears fans should be super happy with this one. Moving on to number 11, I think we get back-to-back elite tackles going with the 49ers taking Kelvin Banks out of Texas. I think Banks is also an absolute stud. He immediately fills the 49ers' needs, and I think it also prepares them for the eventual departure of Trent Williams, giving them a little bit more long-term stability. I could see Banks going before Campbell and these past 2 picks sort of flipping, but this is just sort of the way I had it in this mock. All right, moving on to the 12th pick, I have the Cowboys making a splash and drafting Ashton Jeanty to become the hometown hero. And I think this would be awesome. I mean, Jeanty's from Frisco, so that would bring him home. I mean, he definitely deserves it. He was the best running back in college football, without a doubt. And I think Dallas has really been missing an electric presence in their backfield. You know, they haven't had it since Zeke was really tearing stuff up. So I think Jeanty would really bring that electricity back to the Cowboys. And, I mean, yeah, he's a powerful runner. He's got breakaway speed, versatility. And I can already imagine those Jeanty jerseys flying off the shelves. I mean, I think day one, the second he gets drafted, there's going to be about 5 million Jeanty jerseys just on pre-order on NFL Shop. So, why not? I think it's got to happen. I think Jerry Jones knows it's got to happen, and I think it's going to happen. So, moving on to the 13th pick, I have the Dolphins taking one of the best safeties in college football with Malachi Starks out of Georgia. I could also see them going tackle here, but with Campbell and Banks both going earlier, I think they go with Starks. I think, you know, the Dolphins have drafted defensive backs very, very well in the past. I think they have a good eye for that. And I think with this 13th pick, if Starks is on the board, it's going to be hard for them to pass up on him. I mean, he's rangy, he's got instincts, he's hard hitting. I mean, he's going to add an instant upgrade to the Dolphins secondary, and I think this is a great fit. All right, moving on to the 14th pick. I think the Colts are in a little bit of a tough spot here, and honestly, I think this pick could definitely change. I sort of found this to be one of the harder picks to make here, but I don't know. I have them taking Colston Loveland out of Michigan, which I think this is a good pick, but I do think it's a little bit of a reach, but I mean, I don't really know who else they would really take here. He certainly has the talent to be a first rounder, and I think he definitely will go first round, but I think the Colts are really hoping to get Tyler Warren here, and they sort of get unlucky if the Jets take him. So as a result, I think they're sort of forced to settle with Loveland here. And I mean, it's good. It provides a big-bodied, reliable target for Anthony Richardson, but I don't think it's what they wanted. So, I don't know. Let me know if you're a Colts fan. Let me know what you would think of this pick in the comments below. All right, for the 15th pick, I have the Falcons taking Jalen Walker. I could also see Michael Williams going here. I think the Falcons also would love to have James Pierce, but he's already been taken. I sort of just had Walker going instead of Michael Williams because I think he fits into their defense just a little bit better. I'm kind of bullshitting on that, but I don't know. He's a true sideline-to-sideline linebacker, elite athleticism. He'll provide an instant upgrade to Atlanta's defense. All right, so moving on to the Cardinals. I think they're also in a bit of a tough spot here. I really wish they would go for receiver. And, I mean, if I was the Cardinals GM, I really would go for receiver. I mean, they just got Marvin Harrison Jr., but I think picking up someone like Luther Burden in a spot right here would really open things up for their offense. But this is a mock draft where I'm not the GM. I'm just mocking what I think the teams are going to pick, and I don't think the Cardinals will take a receiver here. So I have them taking Armin Membu, offensive lineman out of Mizzou. I also think they could go edge or linebacker here, but I think they're going to take Membu to solidify that right side of the line. They found their answer on the left side with Paris Johnson last year, and Membu has a little bit of versatility with his size, so he can transition to the interior if they need him to. I mean, he's a dominant presence in the trenches, and he'll provide some much-needed protection for Kyler Murray. All right, moving on to the 17th pick, I have the Bengals doing exactly what I said I wanted the Cardinals to do, and they're taking Luther Burden. I think this pick might confuse some people. It might upset some people. I know a lot of people think that the Bengals should go for defense, and I don't disagree, but it's sort of the same logic with the Cardinals. I mean, I do think the Bengals should keep T. Higgins and go for defense, but as we've seen in the recent weeks, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. They're likely going to trade T. Higgins, and I think in a spot right here, they're going to look for his replacement when they have a talent like Burden on the board. I mean, right here, I mean, it's the opportunity presents itself. So an instant replacement for T. Higgins. I mean, Burden is really good. I think he could even be better than Higgins. He's got huge potential. He's got elite speed, great hands. So yeah, I think this allows the Bengals to instantly fill that void, put another lethal weapon in Joe Burrow's receiving core, and yeah, I think the Bengals will opt for the flashy receiver instead of the needed defensive upgrade, and they get a really special player here in Luther Burden. Okay, so moving on to the 18th pick. I have the Seahawks making a bit of a boring pick with Tyler Booker from Alabama, which I saw an interview from him the other day. He has great mentality. I don't know. His draft stock's going up. That's all I got to say. Part of me wanted to put the Seahawks picking Jalen Milroe just because I just want to do that. I don't know why. I just feel like that would be fun, and I could see the franchise doing that. But I'm trying to be realistic. We're not clickbaiting around here for the most part, and know that social media would be going absolutely crazy on draft night, but realistically, I don't think that could happen. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think it will. So I have the Seahawks building up their strength in the trenches. All right, so at 19, I think the Bucs have a lot of choices, and I think they're sort of lucky to be picking in the edge defender class that they are. So, as I've said multiple times, he could have gone earlier at multiple other slots. They get Michael Williams out of Georgia. I think either way, they're going to take an edge defender here, and I mean, it might be Pierce, it might be Jalen Walker. Whoever ends up falling to this spot, I think is going to end up going to the Bucs, and I don't know. I mean, I could see them if all three of those top edge defenders are gone. I could see them maybe taking a corner such as Benjamin Morrison. I could also see them taking Mike Green, sort of a underrated edge defender out of Marshall. But I think if Michael Williams is on the board at this point, it's going to be hard for the Bucs to pass on him. So I think he ends up in Tampa Bay. All right, moving on to the 20th pick. I have the Broncos taking wide receiver Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State. I really like this pick. I think the way that Egbuka stretches the field will fit perfectly into the Broncos offense. I mean, he's got elite playmaking abilities, and I think he's going to be a great complement to a wide receiver room that's already pretty stacked with Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, and Devon Vele. So yeah, Bo Nix is going to have a ton of weapons next year, and I think this will be a great step towards his development and the Broncos' future. All right, moving on to the 21st pick. I'm actually making a change. I'm not sure who pointed it out in my comments, but if you're watching this video, I appreciate it. Shout out to you. Yeah, so we're actually going to make a pick. I had Jahdae Barron to the Steelers at 21, which actually doesn't really make any sense. I don't know. I reviewed it, and the dude was right. Sorry, I don't know why I picked Jahdae Barron. So I'm going to switch that up, but we're going to keep it with his Texas Longhorns teammate and have the Pittsburgh Steelers select wide receiver Matthew Golden out of Texas. So obviously, I mean, I think the Steelers could use a receiver a little bit more than a corner after a further review from my comment section pointer outer. So yeah, I think this was a little bit of a difficult pick for me to take because I think that the Steelers would have liked to take Egbuka or Luther Burden here. But I mean, Golden is a great receiver prospect too, so I think it makes a lot of sense. He'll make a ton of big plays, and I think he'll complement George Pickens very well. He's a dynamic playmaker. He's explosive, and I mean, we all know Pittsburgh loves drafting receivers, and they do a good job of doing so. So if Golden gets picked here, he could be the next Steelers great. All right, moving on to the 22nd pick. I got Jim Harbaugh's Chargers taking fellow Michigan man Kenneth Grant. I think most people are sort of expecting Harbaugh to kind of just load up on Michigan players these next 2 years while he can get the players that, you know, he recruited to Michigan. He coached them while they were in college. They're sort of his guys. So I think he gets one of them here with Kenneth Grant. I think if Colston Loveland is still on the board here, the Chargers will definitely take him. But with him gone, Harbaugh's going to take the next best of his former dudes, and I think Grant's a good pick. Moving on to the 23rd pick, I have the Green Bay Packers taking Benjamin Morrison, and I think they could also take somebody like Jahdae Barron or maybe even Siobhan Revelle from East Carolina, but I have them taking Morrison here. I mean, I think we all know Jair Alexander's time in Green Bay is sort of running out. So I think the Packers are going to reload here and get another top corner. I mean, Morrison's smart, instinctive. He's got all the skills the Packers need to fill this role. Like I said, I definitely could see Barron going here too, especially given the fact that I had the Steelers taking him earlier in the same mock draft. But hey, I mean, I don't know. All right, so with the 24th pick, I have corners going back-to-back. I have the Vikings taking Siobhan Revelle out of East Carolina. This pick could easily be Jahdae Barron with him still on the board, but I think Revelle is a great selection. He sort of reminds me of Xavier Rhodes, who played corner for the Vikings a couple years ago, just because he was a huge corner, which Siobhan Revelle is also much like this. He's 6'3", and I think he's got a lot of the tools needed to develop into a top-tier NFL corner. He also sort of reminds me of Quinyon Mitchell from last year, who was a little bit of an underrated prospect out of Toledo, but ended up going in the first round to the Eagles. So I think the Vikings will sort of do the same thing here, taking a chance on a sleeper pick with Siobhan Revelle. For pick 25, I have the Texans taking offensive tackle Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. who easily could have gone earlier at multiple different points in this draft. But, I mean, I think this is a great spot for the Texans to get him. And, I mean, the Texans need to invest in long-term protection for C.J. Stroud. And Simmons does a great job to fill that void here. I sort of think no matter what, they're going to go for offensive linemen here. Simmons is incredibly athletic. He's got quick feet. So I think Houston's going to secure a key piece for their offensive line with this pick. Moving on to number 26. I have another tackle being drafted. This time, the Rams take Josh Connerly out of Oregon. Though I could see the Rams taking a quarterback, a late round quarterback here would definitely be a great pick, but I have them going with Connerly in this mock. It adds a bit of stability to the Rams line for Matt Stafford, ? And beyond. So yeah, I could also see Josh Simmons and this pick switching depending on what the Texans decide, but I mean, here, we got the Rams taking Connerly. I don't know. So, moving on to the 27th pick, I have the Ravens taking Nick Scourton. And this was sort of a difficult decision for me to make. I totally could have seen them going in a ton of different ways, but Scourton makes sense to me. I think Baltimore is sort of one of those teams that's always looking to bolster their defense, and Scourton's a relentless edge defender. I think he's a bit of a raw prospect, but his explosiveness and first step quickness gives him a ton of potential. And I think the Ravens are sort of the place that does a great job at developing their defenders. So I think with the right development, he could become the next great Ravens pass rush. Moving on to 28, I have Scourton's teammate off the edge, Shamar Stewart, being taken by the Lions. I think the Lions have really missed Aiden Hutchinson, so with him being gone, I think it's sort of shown them the importance of having depth at that position. And I think even if the idea of pairing Aiden Hutchinson up with another freak athlete such as Shamar Stewart is going to be too good of an idea for the Lions to pass up. I think a lot like Scourton, he's a bit raw, but he's got a ton of speed. He's huge. So I think it'll make a terrifying addition to a defense that already has a ton of talent. All right, so moving on to number 29, I have the Commanders taking Jonah Savayanea, I think I'm pronouncing that right, out of Arizona. I think we all know Washington needs to continue to build around Jaden Daniels. I mean, they found a guy, so they need to make sure he's got some protection. And Savayanea is a true dominant force in the trenches. He's 6'5", 330, so he's a natural in the run game. He's versatile, so he can play either guard or tackle. And I think he's going to provide some immediate stability to Commanders' offensive front that needs to protect its young superstar in Jaden Daniels. All right, so for pick 30, I have the Buffalo Bills taking an absolute monster in Walter Nolan. I think this is a bit early. He could definitely go early second, maybe even late second. I've seen some people sort of hating on him. They think he's a bit too raw. His technique's not good enough. But I think this is a great pick, and I think he should make an immediate impact on this defense. He's a disruptive defensive tackle. He's got violent hands, and he can wreck plays. I think with Ed Oliver already on this roster, this is a great place for Nolan to land. He's going to have a great player to learn from, and this would give the Bills This would immediately give the Bills one of the most intimidating defensive interiors in the league. With the 31st pick, I have the Chiefs taking Ariante Ursary out of Minnesota. I think the Chiefs know that they have to protect Patrick Mahomes, and Ursary is one of the most underrated linemen in the draft. I think the Super Bowl also definitely showed that, they're going to need to work on that offensive line. So I think Ursary is a great pick here.
He's great in pass protection, which is what Kansas City is going to be looking for. So I think this will solidify the future. This will solidify the future protection that Mahomes has. All right, so last but not least, we're on the 32nd pick. I have the Eagles taking a shot and getting a hidden gem in edge defender out of Marshall, Mike Green. And I think this is going to be one of those moments where everyone's sort of just like, like, how did we let the Eagles get this guy? Because he's an absolute beast. And, I mean, we've already seen the Super Bowl showed us enough. The Eagles have a tremendous defense, and I think their GM's kind of going to be sitting there going, why not? Like, why not make it better? They've proven that they're unafraid to do this. They're unafraid to just absolutely load the defense up with talent. So I think adding Mike Green to that locker room is going to be terrifying. He's a tremendous athlete. He's got great bend off the edge, and he can also kick inside on passing downs. So, I mean, Philly's got great success finding defensive talent, and Green could be their next addition. All right, guys, that wraps up CFB Blitz's first NFL mock draft. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who do you think is going to be the biggest steal of the draft? Who did I miss? Who did I overdraft? I don't know. Just comment down below and let's talk some football. If you enjoyed this mock draft, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more college football content as we prepare for the NFL draft. Thank you guys for watching. See y'all next time. Peace.